Welcome to this short video on how to obtain fraud and financial investigative experience. So this was originally a presentation that I did a number of years ago. I've revised and updated it since, and I hope you enjoy it. So we know that one of the challenges is this catch-22 of experience, right? We know that in order to get a job, you have to have experience, but in order to get the experience, you need to be able to get the job. So in this presentation, I'll walk through 25 different possibilities to gain some level of experience, whether it's an entry level, an intern, a volunteer, or through networking. This is what I call the lack of itis, right? It's that experience. The key is to get any experience because the skills that you have will translate into productive futures. So this was based on an article that I wrote in 2009 for Fraud Magazine because I think it was really important to understand that there are very different ways that we can all get to our ultimate career goals. Now, my first job was not an investigative job, and I think it's important to remember that a dream job may not come in the first or second or even your third employer. But again, going back to the translation of skills and experiences, every position gives us that opportunity to learn, grow, have new experiences, and be able to focus on those skills and the development and basically use the language of fraud examination in the jobs and roles that we have. So when we think of fraud investigation or financial investigation, we're really looking at 6 different key types of skill sets and talents. Examining documents, looking at the flow of funds, identifying patterns and detecting anomalies, potentially identifying assets, and conducting financial interviews, all within the realm of this analysis of financial information. So, how do we translate these skills into various positions and roles to get more experience so that we can get the job? So let's start and go through the different 25 ways that we can get this experience. So the first is the public defender's office. This is an overlooked, often under-resourced and underappreciated perspective of the criminal justice system, right? Now, this is really valuable because it actually promotes the fairness and the consistency of law, but it also enables you to look at it from the other side, from a different vantage point, which I think is really important. Second, let's talk about child support enforcement. This is critical because child support is about owing money and often undertakes a fugitive type investigation. Looking at whether people are concealing income, whether they're hiding assets, whether they've moved using assumed names, or other ways to hide what they actually owe. Divorce lawyers and family law is a key client for forensic accounting skills. And again, this is a really important thing to understand where the money went, where it's going, uh, creating schedules, all of that. Traditional litigation attorneys do criminal defense, white collar crime. They also do internal investigations, corporate work, regulatory compliance, and due diligence. Loss prevention in retail is one of the areas that I think is important to remember is theft is fraud. Fraud is theft. And so getting experience in this type of environment will be very helpful. This is heavily relying on technology as well as conducting interviews, writing reports, things like that. Our financial institutions are critical. Again, a variety of different roles. They may be in a variety of different departments. But again, because we're dealing with money, we're dealing with people, we're dealing with transactions, these are all really, really useful ways to get experience. Even if you're at a teller, you're going to be able to pick up on trends, do pattern analysis, understand the regulations that, when you need to file a suspicious activity report, things like that. Private investigations are another key way to collect information. Think about how you verify claims, doing research, assisting with finding people, looking at background checks, and doing interviews. Now, numbers 8 through 14 are really devoted to specific industries. So, healthcare, gaming, transportation, real estate, manufacturing, energy, and telecommunications all have really important roles and use cases for fraud investigation, financial analysis, and security things of that nature. So those are important to look at those specific industries, understand what the possibilities are, and then do further exploration. Paralegals can be used in just about any organization. It doesn't have to be a law firm. Again, you're doing legal research, you're doing fact checking, you're writing documents, you're organizing information. They're doing lots and lots of interviews. All of these things are really important in the preparation for litigation or settlement. And these, again, skills are really valuable. Now, we often don't think of probation and parole as a potential avenue, but in some of these cases, you're looking at financial assessments. You're doing fraud investigations after they've been convicted because you need to identify for the court what specifically happened, what are the aggravators, what are the mitigators. You're doing essentially a review of all the trial material. And really the key is here the ability to pay victims, restitution, what assets are available, things of that nature. We can't overlook the state regulatory agencies. Almost every single state has some form of regulatory agency in these types of categories. Obviously, securities fraud being primary, but also bank examination, insurance. So look at your state, look at the state that you want to go to, and see what options they have. Again, don't overlook the thousands of police agencies. Again, internships are great opportunity to get in the door, get good experience, and understand how things work in reality. Prosecuting attorneys, again, from a local level, from a state level, special prosecutors, these are all great opportunities. I want to highlight the Medicaid fraud control units because these are really critical in healthcare fraud, and they do a lot of really good work on the healthcare fraud space. So definitely take a look at those. Now, tax and revenue agencies are also really important in terms of collecting revenue, identifying tax fraud, things like excise tax, so alcohol, tobacco. In some cases, some states have marijuana dispensaries and regulate those. And so all of these revenue collecting agencies need to be able to identify and detect the tax fraud. Certainly, CPA and forensic firms are always going to be needing CFEs and fraud examiners, and it's a great way to get experience through audits, engagements in forensic accounting, or even consulting work. You can also look at things like the Chamber of Commerce and the different businesses that are in your area, the different associations and state CPA societies. Again, gives you a great opportunity to think about this. Using the job boards of your professional associations like ACFE are great to identify different avenues. Insurance companies obviously deal with a lot of issues. I highly recommend looking into associations like the International Association of Special Investigations Units, the National Insurance Crime Bureau, and the National Healthcare Anti-Fraud Association. Again, just like financial institutions, you can start really anywhere because at the end of the day, it's important to get the experience in that industry and understand what the standards and regulations are, how things really work in practice, and then be able to move from there. So, starting with claims or adjustments, and then moving into the special investigations unit, or again, just being able to get that experience, understand how things work, and actually get hands on practical experience. So, talk about the inspectors general. There's been a growing trend to start inspectors general in different states and localities, as well as having special inspector generals, including police oversight. So again, all of these are just examples. You can find a full list at the Association of Inspectors General. And again, take a look at what they have to offer. What are they doing? What reports are they putting out? How can you gain that experience and what can you contribute? And if you're in college, why not stay there, right? So there are college and university auditors. There's police and security. You can do academic research on fraud and use that as practical experience. You can assist in small businesses with setting up internal controls and doing a quick audit. Again, here you want to take advantage of all the opportunities and information and connections that your career center or alumni office have. They can help you significantly understand the landscape and be able to connect with people who would be interested in helping you. So I end number 25 with everything else. This is really where your creativity and imagination can take over. Think about all the different opportunities and possibilities. Look to your network. Look to mentors. Look to LinkedIn. Cold call organizations. Think about long term what it is you would like to do. Think about how you can get that experience. Think about how you can translate what you're doing into the broader skill set of a fraud examiner, a financial investigator, whatever it is you're interested in doing. And of course, think about all the papers that you've written in college. Think about how you could turn those into articles, blogs, or even a video. There's so much possibility. Just think about it. We haven't spent as much time talking about the possibilities of religious associations or nonprofit organizations and being involved in those. Again, helping to set up internal controls, doing audits, doing an anti-fraud review. You could speak about things like elder abuse, elder exploitation, financial fraud against the elderly, to various types of groups. And of course, there's always security, right? The shift work, the reports, the interviews, all the public interaction, those can be very valuable as well. So this slide just shows you that there's just so many agencies out there. So there's bar investigators, there are departments of corrections investigators, welfare fraud investigators, government ethics commissions, background investigations, gaming control agents, fire marshals, Secretary of States. All of these things are just out there waiting for you to explore them. And again, so much more. All the government agencies that we have talked about often have contractors to do things like data analysis, records keeping, legal assistance. All of these things, again, very, very good experience. And again, we haven't even touched on tribal governments. Things like the Department of Natural Resources or Parks Police often deal with things like illegal fishing or illegal poaching, wildlife trafficking. Transit and housing police, ethics commissions, monitorships, guardians, receivers, and bankruptcy trustees all need the skills that we have taught. This is, again, just ripe for going in and seeing and exploring and really saying this is interesting to me, and this is what I can do and what I can bring to the table. Again, we've talked about cold calls. We've talked about using connections in the university. We've talked about associations having job and career boards. Many offer those discounted memberships to students, so take advantage of that. Now, there's some limitations that you need to be understanding that many organizations will have sensitive areas or issues that they won't discuss or won't expose you to. They may make you be subject to a background investigation or polygraph. The goal is during your experience to take it all in, ask those questions, observe how they do their job. Make sure you keep a journal with these experiences. Um, make get business cards and network and make contacts. Keep in touch periodically. If you're doing this for an internship class for credit, make sure you have a good paper and have them review it before. Again, you can use that as the basis for your publications, blogs, videos, podcasts. All of these things are great ways that you can get experience. So there you have it, 25 ways and more to get experience. Now, I started somewhere, we all started somewhere. This is about investing in yourself. There's a long game here, but in the end, if you keep your eye on the prize, keep focused on the skills and being able to translate those skills into meaningful experiences, you will do just fine. Thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful, and feel free to reach out, leave comments, or give me new ideas. Thanks.